Have you ever noticed how the same woman who once ignored your messages, gave you cold replies, or even ghosted you altogether, suddenly starts showing interest again? But only when you've moved on, when you've stopped caring, when you've detached and focused on yourself. You start wondering, why now? Why not when I was putting in all the effort? And if you've ever fallen into the black pill ideology, it's even more confusing, because that mindset teaches you that if you're not good looking enough, you'll always be invisible. So if she wasn't interested in you when you were trying your hardest, and nothing about your appearance drastically changed, why is she circling back now? This is the kind of thing the black pill doesn't explain, because it can't. The black pill reduces attraction to facial symmetry, height, and bone structure. It assumes women are biologically wired to reject men who don't meet a certain genetic standard. According to that view, women only want the top 10% of men and discard everyone else. But if that were fully true, why do so many women come back after ignoring you when you haven't changed physically? Why do women sometimes lose interest when you show them affection, but come chasing when you go silent? The answer is simple, but most men miss it. Your energy shifted, and women respond to energy far more than the black pill ever admits. Let's break this down. When you were chasing her, messaging her often, and making yourself available 24/7, you were putting her on a pedestal. Whether you realized it or not, you were showing her that her attention mattered more than your purpose. You were giving off the energy of a man who needed her to feel worthy. And while women say they want a man who expresses his emotions and shows he cares, what they often don't realize themselves is that this kind of behavior, when done out of desperation, actually turns them off. It communicates that you have no other options, no mission, and no control over your own emotions. It tells her that your world revolves around her. And the uncomfortable truth is, most women find that emotionally unattractive. Now fast forward to the moment you stopped caring. You began to focus on your own life. You weren't checking her social media stories, waiting for her texts, or trying to interpret every small interaction. Maybe you hit the gym more, maybe you dove deeper into your goals. You weren't doing it to win her back, you were just done chasing. And that shift is exactly when she starts to feel something. That's when she remembers you. That's when the late night, "Hey stranger" text comes in, and you're left thinking, what changed? Here's what changed. Your energy went from neediness to power, from external validation to internal focus, and that energy is magnetic. The black pill won't talk about energy. It doesn't recognize emotional dynamics because it assumes attraction is purely biological and fixed. But attraction is not a science experiment, one variable. It's emotional, fluid, and often subconscious. Women may be attracted to good looks at first glance, but what holds their interest and what sparks their curiosity later is a man's behavior, confidence, and sense of purpose. This is something every emotionally grounded man knows and lives by. It's not about pretending to be strong. It's about being strong enough to walk away when someone disrespects you. And that strength often triggers the very interest you were seeking in the first place. Here's the irony. When you were trying hard to win her over, you failed the hidden test. Yes, there was a test, one you didn't even know you were taking. That test is called emotional stability. She wanted to see how you would respond to uncertainty, to distance, to silence. Would you break down? Would you chase? Would you beg? Most men fail this test by over-texting, over-explaining, or trying to prove they are good enough. But when you stop trying and remain calm in the face of her withdrawal, you pass the test. You show her that your value doesn't shrink based on her reaction. That kind of inner strength is rare. And because it's rare, it's attractive. This is where Stoic philosophy gives you an edge. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." That's exactly what happens when you stop obsessing over whether she likes you or not. You begin to control what you can. Your behavior, your time, your emotions, and that control changes how people respond to you. You're no longer the man chasing approval. You become the man others want approval from. Let's take a real example. Imagine a guy who's 5'7", not conventionally attractive, and has been rejected a lot in the past. He gets into self-improvement. He works on his fitness, starts building a side business, and becomes emotionally disciplined. An old flame who once ghosted him notices these changes. She sees that he's not chasing her anymore. He doesn't look desperate or bitter. He looks focused. Curious, she reaches out. Not because he suddenly became taller or more handsome, but because his energy became rare. He radiates confidence, purpose, and self-respect. Qualities the black pill refuses to acknowledge as attractive, even though they are. Now here's where most men mess up again. As soon as she comes back, they drop everything. They go right back to being the guy who was desperate for her attention. And just like that, she loses interest again. Why? Because the energy that attracted her back, the grounded, indifferent energy, is gone. She sees the same patterns she walked away from in the first place. The test begins again, and he fails. The right move when she returns isn't to celebrate or chase, it's to assess. Ask yourself, is she back because she truly values you, or because she lost control? Are you entertaining her again because you genuinely see compatibility, or because you crave the validation she once denied you? These are important questions, and answering them honestly will protect you from falling into the same emotional trap.